close our eyes and concentrate on the Divine Spirit within and pray to Him for the welfare of the whole humanity. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Sthapakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme Incarnate in the modern times. We shall pray to Him to lead us from darkness to the light of knowledge, darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, from death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Last time we had very nice talks. Some of you spoke your experiences of how the opportunity was made use of to come into this spiritual life. Last time when I read a passage from the Gospel where Sri Ramakrishna very clearly tells about the spiritual power of the divine name, it is remarkable. The divine name itself is God. All the powers are inherent in that divine name. So if we repeat that name with full faith and determination, surrendering everything to the divine, we must have good experience of having repeated the divine name. Sri Ramakrishna gives great importance for the repetition of the divine name. We should constantly repeat so that we will develop a taste for repeating the name for a long time. So we must try to love the name. Once we begin to love the divine name, then you will enjoy tremendous peace and joy. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna said. When hearing the name of Hari or Rama once, you shed tears and your hair stands on end, then you may know for certain that you do not have to perform such devotion as the Sandhya anymore. Then only you will have a right to renounce rituals, and rather rituals will drop away of themselves. What is the purpose of rituals? It is only to make our mind deeply involved in the divine spirit. So once we are able to fix our mind and repeat the divine name, then the rituals are no more necessary. It will be enough if you repeat only the name of Rama or Hari or even simply Om. That is how Sri Ramakrishna explains the divine name. And I would like to make some comments about the importance of the divine name, what exactly it is. Many saints, almost all of the saints, have given importance for repeating the divine name, which is the easiest way of our spiritual practices. There is no need for undergoing any rigorous discipline for repeating the divine name. But we must do it sincerely, that's what is needed. Now, what is this divine name? We should know it. It is made up of divine bliss. The divine name is nothing but divine bliss. You must imagine that. So when you repeat the name, you must at the same time feel more and more joy when you are repeating the name. You must always associate the divine name with joy. It is the symbol of God on earth. We have not seen God, but to achieve our target, to have the vision of the Lord, we must have some symbol through which we would be able to reach the God easily. The divine name is a symbol of God on earth. It is the holiest thing in creation. God and His name are the upwards and reverse of one and the same divine being. His name, God, His name and the saints make up the Holy Trinity. Sri Ramakrishna, later you will find, has mentioned in the Gospel Bhagavan, Bhakta and Holy Scriptures. Bhagavan, Bhakta, Bhagavata. All B. So they are one. They are three in one. They form an indivisible unity. They are a three in one. So we should know all these things. Then we will like to repeat the divine name. The divine name is the connecting link between Purusha and Prakriti, that is, between the soul and the mind. It is a connecting link. Let the mind stick to it in order to gaze into the soul. Then you will see it makes wonders. We all talk about contemplation. Why it is not possible for us to keep the mind in contemplation? Because we are not following the procedure properly. So contemplation comes to stay when the name, the divine name, penetrates the hidden layers of the mind. So we can understand the importance of the divine name, how it is. Once a disciple approached a saint. In the course of his talks with him, he put him a question. Master, you know, nowadays so many inventions are coming up. So many machines have been invented. So people are becoming more and more comfortable. These machines have made the life very easy and enjoyable. I want to ask whether any saint has invented a machine, as these scientists have invented so many machines, to make it easy for the common man to reach the feet of God. Though the question is a very simple one, but it has got great significance. The master was a realized person, so he could understand the problem of the disciple. So he immediately answered, yes, long ago the saints have invented the machine. Do you know the name of that machine? That is called the divine name. It is a wonderful machine. It is universally available at any place, anywhere. It is priceless in all senses. Everyone knows it how to use it. It never rusts, it never gets old. It is always fresh. Its parts do not wear out. It needs no repair. It never gets out of order like other machines which might go. It never gets out of order any time. Its patent is with God alone. He who takes the name of God reaches the divine experience without the struggles of spiritual life. So all the saints have given importance for this. Even Holy Mother, Sri Sharda Devi, her whole life was one of continuous repetition of the divine name. You can study her life. Every day she would repeat several thousand times the divine name. With all the household work, hectic work, with so many problems, difficulties, whatever it may be, but she would do every day morning 3 hours. She would get up early morning 3 o'clock, she would go to Ganges, take baths, and then come and sit for meditation for 3 hours at a stretch. She did this unto her last day. Not a single day missed, several thousand. And that made her enjoy the divine bliss forever. Every day she would be in ecstatic state, though she would not show it outwardly, but she was full of peace and contentment. That motherly love was gushing forth towards the whole humanity. That became possible because of her realization of the repetition of the divine name. She would often tell to all the aspirants who would come to her, repeat the divine name. But in spite of her instructions and giving them the mantra, many people would not even repeat the divine name. Some excuse they would give. How can they expect any kind of peace in their life if they are not able even to repeat the divine name, at least for a few minutes in a day? One story I would like to tell you in this connection. This happened in India, of course. There was a couple, husband and wife. They had 3 children. They were living in a village. It so happened the whole village was once attacked by plague. All the villages were in great distress. Many people died. So the 3 children of this couple also died because of the epidemic. Now they are left alone, both husband and wife. They are deeply grieved. What to do? What is this? They felt as if they have lost everything. Their children, whom they loved very much, are no more. So everything appears to them so distasteful. That was the condition. Then they approached a holy man just to have consolation. When they talked with him, the saint said, "Don't worry about what has happened. Everything happens according to the divine will. Now how to face the present situation is, you try to love God as your own child. You just try this experiment. Try to love God as your own child." And the saint gave some divine name and he asked them to repeat as many times as possible in a day and develop love towards that name. You will see the effect of it in course of time. They felt so happy to get these instructions from the holy man. He was telling so lovingly and forcefully. They began to repeat the divine name with all seriousness and sincerity. Though in the beginning it was rather difficult, but by persistent practice it became possible to repeat the divine name for long hours in the day. One day they were, both husband and wife, they were talking together, sitting outside their house. And they were just talking about the powers of the divine name and what exactly it means, how to love God. The saint has said, just by repeating and treating that divine name as their own child. And the wife, she was doing with all earnestness. She was very particular about repeating the divine name every day. She was doing. And that day she felt so calm and she closed her eyes She immediately began to feel a kind of peace and bliss inside. And literally she had the vision of the name which she was repeating every day. She was overwhelmed with joy. This has happened not after many years, just 6 months time. Within 6 months, she had the vision of the Divine Lord and she became blessed. She did not undergo any kind of rigorous discipline or whatever it is. She kept on repeating with all earnestness and she began to put all her love in that name and she do it with all Shraddha. She got the realization and she realized what exactly love means. She began to feel the whole creation is nothing but God Himself. So, that's the way how we should take upon the divine name and practice it with all seriousness and sincerity. M looked around him with wonder and said to himself, "What a beautiful place! What a charming man! How beautiful his words are! I have no wish to move from this spot." After a few minutes he thought, "Let me see the place first, then I will come back here and sit down." As he left the room with his friend, he heard the sweet music of the evening service arising in the temple from gong, bell, drum, cymbal. He could hear music from the Nahabat too at the south end of the garden. The sounds travelled over the Ganges, floating away and losing themselves in the distance. A soft spring wind was blowing, laden with the fragrance of flowers. The moon had just appeared. It was as if nature and man together were preparing for the evening worship. M and Sidhu, his friend, visited the 12 Shiva temples, the Radhakanta temple and the temple of Bhavatarini. And as Yam watched the services before the images, his heart was filled with joy. He was in great spiritual mood. First of all, he had seen Sri Ramakrishna. That itself had a tremendous effect on him. And the environment and the surroundings added to that feeling. On the way back to Sri Ramakrishna's room, the two friends talked. Sidhu told M that the temple garden had been founded by Rani Rasmani. He said that God was worshipped there daily as Kali, Krishna and Shiva, and that within the gates many sadhus and beggars were fed. When they reached Sri Ramakrishna's door again, they found it shut, and Brinde, the maid standing outside, Yam, who had been trained in English manners and would not enter a room without permission, asked her, "Is the holy man in?" Brinde replied, "Yes, he is in the room." Yam, "How long has he lived here?" Brinde, "Oh, he has been here a long time." M, "Does he read many books?" Brinde, "Books? Oh dear, no. They are all on his tongue." M had just finished his studies in college. It amazed him to hear that Sri Ramakrishna read no books. M, "Perhaps it is time for his evening worship. May we go into the room? Will you tell him we are anxious to see him?" Brinde, "Go right in, children. Go in and sit down." Entering the room, they found Sri Ramakrishna alone, seated on the wooden couch. Incense had just been burnt and all the doors were shut. As he entered, M, with folded hands, saluted the master. Then at the master's bidding, he and Sidhu sat on the floor. Sri Ramakrishna asked them, "Where do you live? What is your occupation? Why have you come to Baranagar?" M answered the questions. But he noticed that now and then the master seemed to become absent-minded. Later he learnt that this mood is called bhava, ecstasy. It is like the state of the angler who has been sitting with his rod. The fish comes and swallows the bait, and the float begins to tremble. The angler is on the alert. He grips the rod and watches the float steadily and eagerly. He will not speak to anyone. Such was the state of Sri Ramakrishna's mind. Later, M heard and himself noticed that Sri Ramakrishna would often go into this mood after dusk, sometimes becoming totally unconscious of the outer world. M. Perhaps you want to perform your evening worship. In that case, come again, Sri Ramakrishna said. On his way home, M began to wonder, who is this serene-looking man who is drawing me back to him? Is it possible for a man to be great without being a scholar? How wonderful it is! I should like to see him again. He himself said, "Come again." So I shall go tomorrow or the day after. M's second visit to Ramakrishna took place on the southeast veranda at 8 o'clock in the morning. So Sri Ramakrishna gave the first impression of how a God-intoxicated person would be. Anybody coming into his contact would immensely feel peaceful and transformed. Master Mahashaya and his friend had the same experience, particularly Master M, Master Mahashaya. He was amazed to see Sri Ramakrishna in that ecstasy. What a glorious thing it was. And with what tremendous love and affection Sri Ramakrishna invited him to come again. That one visit was a starting point in his spiritual life. His whole life was completely turned spiritual. Though he lived in the world, he was more of the spiritual than of the world. He could enjoy every day the spiritual nectar coming forth from Sri Ramakrishna himself. All the different systems of philosophies were all explained in simple way through practical examples and parables. Sri Ramakrishna demonstrated the whole truth of the scriptures in his actual life. So Sri Ramakrishna's life is nothing but religion in practice, the practical demonstration of the religion. He was intensely religious and intensely spiritual. He loved everyone. To him, the whole creation, the whole humanity, everybody is a child of the Divine Mother Kali. And he would influence the people that way. So, this first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna stirred Master Mahashaya thoroughly well, and he became very much indrawn. To him, spiritual life became more real than the so-called worldly life. He came to that conclusion. And he learned many things at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. Though he lived as a householder, at the same time, how he could be the best devotee. So a householder also can have direct access to the Divine Spirit. So here is the example. And Sri Ramakrishna, we see later how he has given advice to the householders to keep up that divine lamp always burning in the house. It's very important. The first and foremost thing is, as soon as we get up from the bed, immediately after finishing our bath, etc., go to the shrine, light a lamp, offer an incense, make salutations. The first thing you must do that, then you begin to talk. First thing, as soon as you get up from the bed, you must do that. That is the tradition. Keep up that tradition. You will see how it works wonders. I have seen myself, there are people who do that way. When I was in Bangalore, I was once invited by some place, by some people. I had gone there. I had to stay in the house of the devotee. As usual, I got up in the morning at 4 o'clock. That was the usual time when we get up. Then after finishing my bath, etc., I came out my room and saw the lady of the house who had woke up and she had finished her bath and she was sitting before the shrine, her own shrine. She had lighted the lamp and offered the incense sticks and making salutations to the Lord and offering her simple prayers. It thrilled me to see that in the silent hours, maybe 5 o'clock or so, she did that and then she entered the kitchen. First thing she did was, she first entered, she went to the shrine. First thing should be done first. But what we do normally, we do, probably due to ignorance or maybe due to some other reason, we do the first thing last. Our priority to all God and other spiritual matters would be always last. That should not be. So Sri Ramakrishna gave such a fine impression upon the Master Mahashaya. He felt like coming more and more. One day if he missed means he would feel very unhappy. So Master Mahashaya, his whole life became blessed by his continuous contact and communication with Sri Ramakrishna. Last time some of you had spoken about how the opportunity was given to you and how you could make use of them and so that you could come to this Vedantic way of life. Some of them did express their views, but all of them could not speak because the time was over. Anyway, today also, if some of you would like to speak, you are welcome. The mic is there. You please come and give your impressions. And about the topic which we have dealt with today, about the divine name, I invite your observations and comments in the next class. Each of you can think well and give your impression about your idea about the divine name, how it really helps you, and what are your comments and observations. I have given out my comments today, and you can comment upon my comments also. Anyway, it's all left to you. I want more participation in these spiritual matters. So sharing the ideas always help us to a great extent, and it keeps us always in a very high spiritual mood. Yes, you can give your ideas freely so that we can discuss if there is any matter to be discussed with. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Chant the name of the Lord. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drown deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the ties of fame, as many times as I may be reborn. Grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain peace, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.